Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. I am so thrilled you're here today because, well, we're unpacking something that's honestly kind of shocking. We're looking at a major shift in health data that directly impacts those of us right in the prime of our lives. We're talking about the young heart crisis. Get ready, because what we're going to cover today is literally going to change how you look at your daily routine.
So I want you to really think about this for a second. Is your heart older than you are? You know, it's so easy to wake up, jump into our crazy, fast-paced lives and feel, well, totally fine on the outside. When we're young, feeling invincible is just kind of par for the course, right? But what if that feeling is just an illusion? What if your biological age, specifically the age of your cardiovascular system, doesn't actually match the number on your driver's license?
Okay, let's dive into this and shatter the biggest myth right out of the gate. For literally decades, the medical consensus was set in stone. Heart attacks were an old age problem, something you didn't even have to think about until retirement. But that's just not the reality anymore. Today, we're seeing an absolutely massive, surprising rise in heart attacks among young adults. We're talking folks in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. This isn't just a fluke, it's a very real trend.
So here's our mode map for today. First, we'll tackle the young heart myth. Then, what exactly is a heart attack? Next, we'll look at the 5 modern lifestyle culprits. After that, warning signs you must know. And finally, protecting your heart today. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the young heart myth.
You know, a lot of young people just assume heart disease is a someday problem, right? Like a health issue completely reserved for older generations. If you're young, you probably think, no way, that can't happen to me. But the reality is actually super different. The data confirms that our modern lifestyles have totally shifted the risk demographic. It's just not just a grandparents' issue anymore. It's hitting college students, young professionals, and new parents.
Moving to Section 2, what is a heart attack?
Okay, so it's absolutely crucial we understand the mechanics here before we go any further. Medically speaking, a heart attack happens when blood flow to a part of the heart gets blocked. Think of your heart as an engine. It's a muscle, and just like any other muscle, it needs a constant, steady supply of oxygen-rich blood to survive and do its job. When that fuel line gets cut off, those oxygen-starved heart muscle cells literally begin to die off. It's a mechanical failure, and it has devastating biological consequences. And the scary part? This failure is increasingly happening in much younger bodies.
So what's causing it? That brings us to Section 3, the 5 modern lifestyle culprits.
Our very first culprit is probably sitting right on our plates. Or, let's be real, in our takeout bags. An unhealthy diet. We live in an era of ultimate convenience. Fast food, sugary drinks, heavily processed snacks, they're everywhere. And a lot of young adults are basically running on these convenience foods, completely unaware of the hidden, long-term damage they're stacking up with every single bite.
Let's move to and see how this actually builds up over time. It starts with Step 1, consuming all those unhealthy fats. That directly leads to Step 2, which is raised cholesterol levels in your bloodstream. Give it enough time, and we hit Step 3. Fatty deposits actually start building up inside the walls of your arteries. And finally, Step 4. It becomes significantly harder for blood to reach the heart. You've essentially created a massive traffic jam in your own cardiovascular system, which perfectly sets the stage for a blockage.
All right, culprit number 2 is something we all feel but can't see: chronic stress. The modern world is, well, it's intense. Between academic pressure, crazy work deadlines, financial worries, and the constant buzzing of social media, young adults are carrying a ridiculously heavy mental load. And too often, we just brush stress off as a psychological thing, just an annoying side effect of the daily grind.
But here's how that invisible mental pressure turns into very real physical damage. When you go through Step 1, sustain high stress for long periods, your body goes into overdrive with Step 2, releasing a flood of stress hormones. And guys, this isn't just a feeling. It's a chemical change that causes Step 3, an increase in your blood pressure. Ultimately, this puts extra, relentless strain on your heart day in and day out. Your heart is essentially running a marathon while you're literally just sitting at your desk panicking over an email.
And, well, speaking of sitting at your desk, that brings us right to culprit number 3, a lack of physical activity. Just think about a normal day for a second. We spend hours upon hours just sitting, studying in the library, staring at a work computer, gaming on the couch, or, just lying in bed scrolling on our phones. This highly sedentary lifestyle is a superhighway to cardiovascular disease. All this sitting around directly leads to obesity, bumps up your blood pressure, and causes poor circulation.
Now, what's really interesting about this next one is how it tackles a huge modern misconception. Culprit number 4, vaping and smoking. I mean, we all know traditional smoking damages blood vessels and robs the body of oxygen, but there's this really widespread belief out there that vaping is somehow a safe, harmless alternative. Actually, scratch that. Impartial research tells a completely different story. The data strongly shows that vaping negatively impacts both your heart and your blood vessel health. So young smokers, whether they're using old-school cigarettes or modern vapes, are putting themselves at a way higher risk compared to non-smokers.
Finally, we have culprit number 5, hidden health conditions and genetics. Sometimes, honestly, it's not just about lifestyle. A person can look totally healthy on the outside, hitting the gym, eating their greens, but still have underlying hidden risk factors. Things like high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, or inherited heart disorders can dramatically spike the risk of a young heart attack. And you obviously can't diagnose these just by looking in the mirror, which is exactly why getting regular medical checkups is absolutely vital to catch them early.
Okay, Section 4, warning signs you must know.
I want you to really lock this in as a mental checklist. A heart attack doesn't always look like it does in the movies, with someone suddenly clutching their chest and collapsing. It can be super subtle. The main warning signs are chest pain or pressure, shortness of breath, and pain that kind of radiates into your arm, neck, jaw, or back. Also, keep an eye out for unusual, unexplained fatigue, or just sudden dizziness and nausea. If you or anyone around you experiences these, please do not just brush them off as a panic attack or a bad lunch. Seek medical help right away.
Moving to our final section, Section 5, protecting your heart today.
And this brilliantly illustrates the actionable steps you can actually take to completely reverse your risk. For your diet, just swapping out the fast food for fruits, veggies, whole grains, and lean proteins makes a massive difference. For activity, you don't need to go train for a triathlon. Experts just recommend 30 minutes of moderate activity most days. Honestly, even a daily walk is a huge win. For stress, make time for exercise, relaxation techniques, your hobbies, and get enough sleep. And medically, the best moves you can make are quitting the smoking or vaping and actually going to those regular health checkups.
Look, the data showing heart attacks rising in young people is definitely scary. But the single most important takeaway from all the research today is that so many of these risk factors are entirely in your control. They really can be reduced through the proactive, everyday choices we just talked about. Take care of your heart today, because as the saying goes, prevention is always, always better than treatment. You literally have the power to change your trajectory starting right now. Which brings us to our final thought. I really want to leave you pondering this. What is one choice you can change today for your heart? You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight, but could you trade a soda for a glass of water this afternoon? Could you take a quick 15-minute walk tonight instead of doom scrolling on your phone? Just pick one actionable thing and start defending your young heart today. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, stay focused, and I'll catch you next time.